everyone, welcome back to Dragonfly Engineering. So this quick episode we're going to talk about how I use the big yellow KUKA robot here to do some pad printing of graphics on some molded parts that we made at Dragonfly Engineering. So you can see the parts there all lined up, and this KUKA robot was used to do pad printing in lieu of buying a pad printing machine. So yeah, let me flip the camera around and I'll give you a quick tutorial, and then I'll show you the setup of the KUKA robot and the setup of the pad printing gizmos to make this happen. Okay, here we are in the KUKA robot work cell area between the dual shot molding machine and the 90-ton boy molding machine. And its task today is to pad print all of these black logos on these white parts that were molded and assembled here as well. And yeah, here's the setup. So here is what's called a cliché, this stainless steel, or this magnetic steel plate, and this is the cup that has the ink inside of it. And I'll show you more of this cup when we actually fill it with the ink. But basically, you slide this cup over the graphics that you are interested in printing, and actually these are other graphics too. You can have two on one plate. And then you slide it back and you've got fresh ink. Of course, I'm manually doing this and the robot's a little more precise. But yeah, this is all fresh ink, and then this silicone pad comes down and touches off on the tacky surface of the ink and pulls the ink out of the little well there. And then it prints it onto the part that is put into this fixture. You can see I cheated a little and have some pieces of paper to mask some overprinting. Anyway, but this is the process, and now let's check out how I programmed this thing and set up the ink and started printing away. But we did a fair amount of them, and we've got more to do over there. Whoops. That's why I do disposable end effectors. Alright, so I'm over here at the ink station and we're going to mix our pad printing ink. And I get this ink from a company called Deco Technology Group in Southern California. Anyway, there's the company. And we're also going to use some of their thinner Deco Tech Gensolve series. Anyway, Deco Tech. They're not sponsored, but they did help me a lot with technical support on the phone, so I figured they deserve a little plug. Anyway, but yeah, I bought this pad printing cup about 10 years ago. And the way this thing works is there's a big magnet in here, and and a very precise ceramic ring, and this acts as like a wiper. So what you do is you fill this cup with your ink, and then you have what's called a cliché, which is this thing right here. And you can see the etched graphics in the surface of this steel. It's probably a tool steel piece of sheet metal, very flat, and they chemically etch in the graphic. And this etched in graphic is approximately 24 microns deep, or about 1/1000th of an inch deep. And then this magnetic puck, when it has its ink in it, will actually magnetically bond or grab onto the cliché. So I'm going to do that now. You got to be a little careful that you don't scratch anything. See, I'm just going to drop it. What I'm going to do is have my fingers act as like basically bumpers, because it is a strong magnet and you don't want to scratch your cliché or your graphics. And Deco Tech may have a better technique for this, but I'm going to gently drop it down onto the surface. And actually, in practice, you would do it opposite. So you would actually put the sheet metal onto your cup that has the ink in it, upside down. So let's try that again. Maybe this time I'll just start the connection and I'll kind of roll it on, yeah, like so. Now the ink that was in this cup is now captured inside of the cup, so you can flip this assembly over, and the magnetic force holds the cliché onto the cup. Now this very precise ceramic knife edge ring is a liquid seal, but when you slide this cup over your indented graphic, what happens is the ink inside of the cup will fill the graphic, and then when you slide it back over, this ceramic ring will wipe off clean all the surrounding area of the cliché and leave 24 microns of ink in the well itself, or in this etched out graphic. And then the silicone pad comes along and touches that ink, which is becoming very sticky on the surface, and then it lifts the ink out of the well and then prints it onto your part. So we'll show that over with the robot here in a second. So what we're going to do now is fill this cup with our ink. So we've got a gram scale over here, and I put a couple of pieces of just copier paper on top of the scale itself so that we don't get ink all over it. because this ink is designed to permanently print onto plastic and other things. So yeah, we don't want to mess up our or permanently, you know, deface this scale. There's also a plug in the there's a plug here that you can unscrew. So when you're printing all day long back and forth and removing ink, you can replenish the ink by unscrewing this plug, and if you've got pre-mixed ink, then you can squirt it in, and then this plug will cap it off, and you can keep printing without tearing down your whole setup. All right, so I'm going to flip this cup over, and we are going to turn on the scale, and it should auto tear, or basically null out the weight of the cup itself. And we are going to add 60 grams of ink to this cup. And it is smelly stuff, so you may want to do a respirator. I've got airflow right now, so that I don't really need a respirator. But yeah, 60 grams. So, whoops. I think I'll hit the tear button on our gram scale again. Huh. I guess I'll hold down tear. Or just turn it off. Okay. All right, now it's back to 0. So I basically just have an old spoon. Of course, it's a magnetic spoon. Okay, that was 5 grams. I should probably get a plastic spoon so it doesn't get attracted. All right, I'm going to try pouring it. Okay, we're halfway there. I'm new to pad printing, and you'll see I don't actually have a typical pad printing setup, but the KUKA Robot is going to be our pad printing machine. Well, that's a strong magnet. I can feel it grabbing that spoon. I don't want to get too much ink on the top surface of the magnet because it's not really in the well. Oh, there we go. Attracted to the spoon again. $58, $59, $60. Okay. Oh, I got 62. All right, and then we need 10 to 15% of the thinner. So that means 6.3 grams of the GenSolve series thinner. So we'll just say 70 grams. Now I'll bet that'll actually, it's actually the range of thinner is 10 to 15%. All right, so now I'm going to mix this thinner and ink together after I clean off the spoon. Whoop, there we go again. I should get like a plastic spoon here. Of course, this plastic fork handle may actually get dissolved and contaminate the ink, but we'll take that risk. So the more thinner you add to the ink, the faster the ink will dry when it's in the when it's embedded in the cliché graphic pocket. And since the KUKA Robot is probably 2 to 3 times slower in flight of print when it's on the silicone pad, I am going on the lower end of the solvent to dilute this ink. So basically we're formulating this ink to dry slightly slower than industry standard, and hopefully that will allow the approximate 2 seconds of exposed ink to the air to not over dry the ink and cause us problems with incomplete stiction or blotchiness or missing chunks of your ink pattern on your part. We've got a little ink on the handle here, so we're getting right at 70 grams of ink in our well. I'll just keep agitating this around until we basically try to get a uniform consistency of our ink and thinner. I'm kind of just pushing a blob around, but hopefully it's starting to diffuse and become a homogeneous ink solution. As the pad printing goes throughout the day, this obviously will normalize into a homogeneous consistency, but I figured I could just help it along by mixing it a little. All right, 70.0. Now it's evaporating away, so it will slowly get less and less material in there. Okay, so now we will stick the cliché on upside down to capture our ink without scratching it or damaging it. Like that. Okay, now we are ready to do some printing. I'll just clean off the top here a little bit, and I'll meet you over at the robot. Okay, so we have an aluminum base that I also bought when I bought this this cup here, and this aluminum base does have some microfilm of ink on it. So I'm going to try to clean off this microfilm, because the more plainer everything is with this cup and this stainless, or this not stainless but steel plate, the better our perimeter cleanliness of our prints are going to be. You know, if we have too much wave in this surface, then we're going to get a little bit of ink actually wiping out onto areas of the steel that we don't want to have, and we could have errant like ink spots on our part. That's not the graphic if we've got too much waviness. So this layer of ink on this plate, or this substrate plate, could be contributing to that. So I'm going to see if I can get some of that cleaned off. I could potentially use a razor blade and try to shave off some of this ink, but I don't want to gouge the anodized aluminum surface either. So with just a little elbow grease, this is going to come off. You need to let the solvent kind of act on the ink to dissolve it, and then you can wipe it away. See, after a minute of exposure, it kind of just is coming off of this anodized aluminum surface. Okay, there we go. So now we'll put our ink cup and cliche assembly onto our surface here. I'm going to check the bottom. Looks like we're pretty flat. There's just minor ink staining. And then I fashioned up this fixture with basically a sheet metal clamp. And we want to center our cliche and our fixture here, and then lightly clamp it down so that we don't bow the sheet metal. We just want slight finger tight. And again, this is my own setup, so more professional pad printing systems probably has a more refined solution. And I'm tapping this sheet metal to feel if there's any rattling sounds. Doesn't feel like it. Okay, I think we're set. All right, we're ready for our first test print here. So I'll hit the button that triggers the robot that says, okay, the parts are loaded and ready. And I'll bring it up to 100% speed. I'll be ready to stop it. Okay, so we'll flip and hit the button. Now we're going to wipe the cup over, get the ink, and stick it. It had some blotchiness. But we can also try double printing. So the customer actually didn't want the text, which is the first graphics pane on this cliche. So we may just do a double print and help bolster up the print here. Or I can just reprint again. Let's see if that works too. Okay, because I've got this fixture to hold the part, hopefully repeatable enough where the text overlaps. So I'll hit the start button. We'll flip it and hit the start. Got a little bit of a ghosting going on there. Huh. Try again. Flip. Well, we're getting there. This is a 3 print in a row. I have some blotchiness that I need to work out. I maybe need to clean out the graphics some more. But anyway, this is the pad printing process with the KUKA Robot. Thanks for watching.